Within the serial killer community, Hungarian Countess Elizabeth Bathory is regarded as the OG. After all, she bathed in the blood of hundreds of young women who she murdered, right? Well, that's the TMZ version of the story. But is it true? We know she was born to Hungarian nobles in 1560 and lived in what is today Slovakia. At the age of 13, she allegedly had an illegitimate child with a farmhand before entering into a marriage with Ferenc Nadasdy. As a wedding gift, he gave her a castle, which in classic horror film fashion was large, spooky, and sat atop a hill. By this time, Báthory already had a taste for human blood. But in fairness, we must point out that it wasn't originally her idea to consume it. The idea came from her doctors. In the 16th century, the finest quacks in the land believed that epilepsy, from which she suffered, could be controlled by drinking blood and consuming crushed human skulls. It's unclear whose skulls she consumed under doctors' orders, but clearly, from a young age, she had, willingly or otherwise, dabbled in cannibalism. Despite various acts of kindness, where she apparently helped rape victims and other downtrodden women, Báthory became the victim of intrigue when she hit the age of 30. By this time, she had enjoyed something of a normal family life. She and her husband had 8 kids, but her husband was away for work a lot, fighting wars, which meant she had to take on leadership responsibilities, and the kids were basically raised by nannies. It was during this time that she invited hordes of young women to come and work at her spooky castle. But rather like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, no one ever saw anyone coming out again. She was, it is said, an exquisite beauty, but in an era before BBLs, Botox, or even decent mascara, she worried that her days as the Kim Kardashian of the Carpathians were numbered. Rumours spread that she'd found the elixir of life in the blood of handmaidens who she had slaughtered. An investigation found no less than 300 witnesses willing to testify to the torture and murder of young women in her home. Her own servants admitted complicity in her crime, albeit after they'd had their fingers ripped off by burning pincers. Unfortunately for them, the Hungarians didn't have a concept of a plea deal, so despite testifying against her, the servants were then burnt alive. The men who arrested her did find dead and dying girls in her home, although the story about bathing in their blood didn't surface until 200 years after her death, and is presumably fake news. Then as now, rich people could get away with abusing youngsters and or murder. Consequently, the wealthy Báthory was condemned to a life under house arrest. Suspiciously though, the King of Hungary owed her a bunch of money at this time. Naturally, he got out of repaying the debt once she was named as a prolific serial killer.